If you run an Amazon FBA business or are interested in learning how to run an Amazon FBA business, then this video is for you. I am going to show you the 16 mistakes that I made in my own Amazon FBA business and the things that I would have loved for somebody else to show me when I was just getting started. I'm going to show you 16 specific things that I wish I would have known earlier, and I'm actually going to give you exact product examples from my Seller Central so that you know exactly what we're talking about here. Number one is buying products that do not have an established KEEPA seller history, meaning buying products that just recently started selling 1 month ago. You may think, oh, I don't need an established seller history. I can just buy it if the product just launched. But what happens is that when the product just launches a month or 2 months ago, then a bunch of sellers just like you that are doing online arbitrage buy it all at the same time. And by the time that the 6 weeks period that it takes for the product to get to Amazon and the product to be available for sale on Amazon FBA, the product's price tanks. And if you don't believe me, here is an example. So this is an example of a product that does not have, that I actually bought, and it does not have a long historical data spanning over at least 1 year. See, I bought it around March, and if you see March, it was at $23. But then what happened? Everybody saw the same thing that I was seeing. They started buying, and it jumped from 6 sellers to 28 sellers. The price dropped from $22 to $14 now, and that definitely put me at a loss. As you can see, if I would have sold at $22, I would have had a profit margin of 19%. But right now, as things stand, I'm actually losing money on every single item. Number two is underestimating Amazon FBA's shipping inbound costs. This is the cost of you shipping your product from your house or from your prep center to the Amazon warehouse. Everyone thinks, oh, Amazon has a special relationship with UPS or their own shipping company, and that's true. And they can provide you lower shipping costs. But the truth is that all those costs at the end of the month, they add up a lot. And let me show you exactly how much I've spent in the last month. So as you can see, here is my inventory lab, and you can see the shipment cost for all my inbound shippings. It all adds up: $3, $8, $4, $15. So it all adds up. Number three is not taking into account returns. Customer returns really eat up on your profit margins over the long term. So you have to account for at least 3 to 5% return rate on your profit margins. That way you don't get unexpected returns and suddenly you are running at a loss. Let me show you an example of 2 products that recently had returns on my Seller Central. So as you can see, here is a summary of my returns in the last few weeks, and I've had 2 returns. And basically with these 2 returns, it cut my profit out of these 10 or 16 units sold by 30–40%. So you really got to take into account the returns. Number 4 is underestimating Amazon FBA's long-term storage fee costs. This is the cost of storing your product at the Amazon warehouse. And even though some of your products may sell immediately or after a month or so, if you store the product at the Amazon warehouse for longer than 270 days, and even that for longer than 365 days, you start paying long-term storage fees, which eventually add up a lot. For reference, you can always Google long-term storage fees, Amazon FBA, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But for products that you are planning on keeping on the warehouse for a long term, plan ahead of time and make sure that these costs are not eating at your profit margins. Number 5, if you're using a prep center, is underestimating your costs for prepping your items at your prep center. For example, I use a prep center in Delaware that supposedly charges me $1.85 per unit. However, upon inspecting all my monthly reports with them, I also found out that they are charging me for boxes, for inspecting, for disposing. There are a lot of additional fees. So whereas before I was planning on only $1.85 cost for prepping for each item, now I'm planning for at least $2.20. That way I am more conservative on my estimates. Look, here is how much I've spent on my prep center for the last month or so. It's about $600. So always take into account the cost. Number 6 is buying products that used to have a buy box and now their buy box is suddenly suppressed. Now, there is not much you can do to avoid this mistake in the future, unfortunately, but always try to look for a product with a long history, and also make sure that the product that you are buying is at a competitive pricing, because what happens is Amazon suppresses the buy box when it thinks that your price or any price from any of the other Amazon FBA sellers is not competitive enough with competitors like Walmart or Target. In that sense, they don't want to jeopardize the customer relationships or the customer experience, and they suppress the buy box. So again, always try to figure out that the product that you are buying is competitive enough in terms of pricing. Now, if you're liking all these items so far, before we move on to the next one, please go ahead and like the video. It really helps the video and the channel because YouTube will promote it more to other users. And that motivates me to create more content. So I would really appreciate it. Oh, and also make sure to subscribe. But let's move on to the next one. So number 7, this actually happened to me very recently and I was so angry at myself. Number 7 is not using a repricer, which that's not my case. I was using a repricer, but setting the minimum price that you're willing to sell your item at the incorrect price. In this case, let me show you the item, but the item had a minimum price of $29, I think, and I accidentally set it to, let's say, $25. So what ended up happening is I started selling the product like hotcakes, and I was like, wow, that's great. But after I analyzed it, I realized that I was actually selling it at a loss because I made the simple mistake of setting the minimum price at the incorrect figure. Let me show you exactly what product that happened to me. Product that I sold at a loss because I accidentally put the wrong price. I think I sold it at $38 and I was originally slated to sell it, like around $50, which was a nice profit. But by selling it at $38, I lost $3 per unit and I sold 10 of this. So that was a loss of 30 bucks right there. Number 8 is having the retailer that you bought the product from now suddenly being on the listing with a massive amount of available stock. This actually happened to me recently, and let me show you the product. This unit I bought at $27.53, and if you look at the KEEPA chart, let me see, KEEPA chart, I bought it around here in March, I believe, and it was the buy box average was $50. So I was supposed to sell it at $50, which was a nice profit of 10% margin. But then what happened? The people that I bought it from, which is fun.com, they suddenly came on the listing and now they have over 1,000 units in stock, 1,015 units in stock. that means that I'm probably better off just liquidating this item. Number 9 is buying fragile items. Now, that was my first time buying a fragile item. In this case, was a scented candle, and I bought it from Walgreens, and I'm going to show you exactly which one it was. And what happened is that I sent it over to the prep center from Walgreens, and 2 of the items broke. I did get a refund from Walgreens, which is great. But then my prep center informed me that the item, because it's made out of glass, they needed to prep it upon Amazon FBA requirements with a double corrugated box, meaning they needed to put the candle inside a box, inside another box, inside another box. And obviously that came with a much more additional charge, which ended up putting the price at a very bad pricing range, and I'm still trying to sell this on Amazon. I bought it from Walgreens at a sale actually, and I thought I was getting a really good deal. But then after the double corrugated boxes and all that, I ended up spending $12.61. So that totally put, like now I have to sell it at $29 or something like that to actually make a little profit, which is not going to happen if you look at all the FBAs here. So that's gonna end up being a loss. Number 10 is buying a food item that you end up holding for a long term. Now, I don't mind holding products for a long time as long as they sell. Actually, what I see sometimes happening is that you hold it, you have a lot of sellers in the listing, sellers start dropping off, and then you eventually hit your price range and you sell out of that product. So I don't mind holding that product for 6 months or so. But in the case of food items, they have an expiration date. So if you don't sell it by a certain expiration date, Amazon will prompt you to remove it, and that will be a full loss for you. So beware of that. Item that I bought it again, I bought it like around March, where it was $11.94, the average buy box price. You can even see here the average 30-day price. But then what happened? It plummeted. A lot of sellers were on the listing. It came from 15 to 44. So I normally wouldn't mind waiting for the seller count to go down, but in this case, this item has an expiration date, so I gotta hurry up. I'm probably gonna eat up a loss on this. Number 11 is buying items without using some type of IP alert system. An IP is intellectual property, and some brands do not like you selling their products. This recently happened to me, and I was not using a product like IP alert, which, by the way, you'll find a link under the description. And what happened to me is that I got an IP complaint and counterfeit claim from this brand owner. I eventually was able to clear it out, but I do recommend you investing in a software or in some type of IP database. IP Alert is the one that I recommend, and I can get you $30 off with my link below. So bear that in mind. That I bought that I ended up having an IP complaint by Sharper Image, and basically it sold like 4 items and it was selling really well, and then I got an IP complaint. And yeah, don't sell Sharper Image. They are very strict with their IP complaints. Get an IP alert, use my $30 off discount on my links, and be careful with those IP complaints. But again, don't let it scare you from running your Amazon FBA business. Just try to use software like that to prevent it from happening in the future. Number 12 is using Rakuten, which is great. I recommend using Rakuten, but using Rakuten without knowing that Rakuten sometimes will not apply the discount. For example, with certain websites, you go and you type in maybe a promo code, and the promo code basically cancels the discount that you would get from Rakuten. I didn't realize that until much later in the game. And I was calculating profit margins, factoring in the fact that Rakuten was going to give me back some money. And whoa, I realized that Rakuten wasn't giving me any cash back for those particular items, which actually put me at a loss. So be careful with that. Number 13 is actually forgetting to activate Rakuten. So I keep Rakuten as a Chrome extension on my browser at all times. And sometimes I'm shopping and I get excited because I find a great deal and I want to purchase it right away. And in the meantime, I forget to simply click on the Chrome extension, which activates the discount or the cashback with Rakuten. And by not doing so, sometimes I miss out on 10, 15, 20% cashback, which is very, very strange. So hopefully you don't do the same, you don't make the same mistake that I did. Number 14 is having profitable products that sell well on Amazon FBA and not replenishing them in time. What I mean by replenishing it is buying the same product before it gets sold out on Amazon FBA. So for example, you have 20 products of a certain item and it's selling really well, and now you only have 10 items left. So you should go back to that retailer where you bought it from and buy, let's say, 20 more. Because what happens is that there is a 6-week period that it takes from the time that you purchase the product for the product to be available for sale on your Amazon FBA account. So you should take that into account when you are replenishing, because what happens if you don't is that you're gonna sell out and you're not gonna have that product anymore. And also you might be missing out on buying that product at the retailer, let's say Walmart, at the same price that you originally bought it from. And if you buy it at a higher price, it might not be as profitable. Number 15 is not going back to the retailer and asking for a refund, because sometimes you're going to have returns on your Amazon FBA. And let's say a customer claims that the product is damaged. So you can go back to Walmart or wherever you bought it from and say, hey, the product arrived damaged. So Walmart is likely going to say, oh, let me send you a replacement or a refund. And in another circumstance, that might actually be true, that Walmart, let's say, sends it to your prep center, and then your prep center contacts you and says, hey, we got 15 products in good condition and one of them was broken. So again, you can go back to Walmart and ask for those refunds, and that will be money back in your pocket. But if you don't ask, money stays with Walmart. By the way, I have links under the video under my Amazon FBA tools that give you free trials on most of the tools that I use. Free trials are actually money off, so make sure to check that out. And also check out my playlist and all that. But let's move on to the next item. The last one is not keeping an eye on my prep center. Sometimes there were instances where there were items that were lost and they couldn't find them and they just didn't say anything. So I went to them after analyzing the reports and said, hey, you're missing 10 items that you never shipped. What happened to those? I was like, oh, we lost them. Okay, where's my money back? And then they issue me a refund. So always be on top of your prep center, because most prep centers are very sketchy. So make sure you do that. All right, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the content. What else do you want me to cover? Make sure to comment under the video. I want to hear from you, and I'll see you on the next one. Keep making that Amazon FBA money.